Greetings adventurers, I'm Lorne Gaming and I'll be your guild advisor for this video. With the new event comes a new banner, the Kino's Journey Collaboration banner in this case, giving us 6 new units to work with, excluding the 3-star Kino that you can earn from farming the event quest. These 6 units are divided into 2 banners. In Gacha Banner B, we have Kino and Animus, T, and Hermes and Animus. Probably the most interesting unit to discuss is the 4-star Kino and Animus. Her moveset is particularly strong, filled with all damaging skills, guaranteeing that she always uses a damaging move during war games, rather than a buff skill or a heal for example. Her Flute Shot special is an AoE ultra physical attack with a temporary strength boost. If you need a hard-hitting special, then you can't go wrong with using Kino's. Projected Trajectory Shot is a single target high physical attack with an ultra crit rate. If you equip Kino with her character weapon Cannon, hopefully crafted with a double crit modifier, and either using T or Aina as an assist for the crit rate, Kino will more than likely crit every time she uses his first skill, making it an excellent move for bosses. Bolting Assault Shot is an AoE mid-level physical attack that debuffs the enemy's strength and magic by 20%. This is a very versatile move that can damage all your foes while guaranteeing that you'll weaken the enemy because it debuffs both strength and magic. Due to Kino's high agility stat, she has a good chance to attack first and debuff your enemies before they can get an attack in during war games. Keep in mind, this is going off the assumption that your Kino is at a similar level. Her last move, Target Focus Shot, is also an AoE mid-level physical attack, but has a 15% chance to seal. It's good to resort to this move when you need AoE, and you already use Bolting Assault Shot since they deal about the same damage, and you might as well try to seal while your strength and magic debuffs are already active. Overall, Kino is a very solid physical attacker with a great moveset. However, there is a clear distinction that needs to be made when comparing Kino to other similar physical attackers like Tsubuki and Onsen Asfi. While Ultra units have the same special art skill with a temporary strength boost modifier, Kino does not have this modifier on her other skills when Tsubuki and Onsen Asfi do. On the flip side, Onsen Asfi only debuffs magic and Tsubuki only debuffs strength, while Kino does both. One thing Kino has over Tsubuki is that Kino has an available potential double crit character weapon, whereas Tsubuki does not have a character weapon available yet. So, there's potential for Kino to be able to match up with Tsubuki's damage, especially since it's easier to get bonds for her due to the current banner, as well as the availability of the Adventurer Star Prison Bond through the current Heroic Trial. However, when compared to Onsen Asfi, who also possesses a potential double crit weapon in the Knuffle Dagger, she will outdamage Kino. The arguments for whichever one is better in this case is difficult, as Kino can debuff both strength and magic, while Asfi only does magic while at the same time hitting harder. The deciding factors here will be whichever one is limit broken more, and whether or not you're in a situation where you need a hard-hitting single target attack. In that case, Kino is more valuable because her single target attack has a high level modifier better than Asfi's mid, in addition to the high crit chance on Projected Trajectory Shot. If you need a strong physical attacker for both war games and PvE scenarios, you can't go wrong with Kino. Moving on, we have Hermes and Animus, a balanced unit with an entire moveset dedicated to the stun mechanic. His Biker Bash is an AoE ultra physical attack with a 30% chance to stun. Rev Up increases his agility by 75% and reduces all foes' stun resistance by 75%. Note, this affects the stun resistance of enemies and not the stun rate on Hermes' moves. Burnout is a single target attack with a 30% chance to stun, and Traction Burst is an AoE with a 15% chance to stun. Both of these moves have high level power. At first, it looks like Hermes could have a pretty good skill set, but he's seriously hampered by the fact that he's a balanced unit and not a physical attacker, meaning his strength is a bit lower. His attack stat is not going to be as good as units like Kino or Asfi. His stun rates are too low to be reliable in PvP and have some niche use in PvE content where you might be able to stun 1 to 2 enemies per wave. When it comes to bosses, most of the time they'll be immune to ailments like stun, making it hard to choose Hermes over someone else. When it comes to war games, the first thing he will do is always use his buff. In a wargame meta, where it is so important to deal damage as soon as possible, this can easily get him killed before he even attempts to stun someone. The agility boost will help him go first if he survives the first turn, but then again, there's no guarantee that he'll stun the right units or even stun at all. One thing he does have going for him is having his own character weapon with the potential for double crit, and his agility buff also modifying crit chance, placing him above other units in damage, particularly if limit broken higher than others. Or that's what I tell myself because I got 5 yahoos instead of Kino. My assessment on Hermes is that he can find some use in PvE content, but for PvP, there are many better choices above him if you have them. The final unit in the B banner is the assist character T, who gives some pretty good strength and HP to the equipped unit. Where she especially shines is in her assist skill that increases the strength and crit rate of your party by 8%, 10% if max limit broken. She's comparable to the part-time Hestia. If you can't +5 either of them, then T's 8% strength and crit rate is better than Hestia's 10% strength in my opinion, especially when it comes to units who can stack high crit like Kino, Eyes, and Ospi, who all have 30% crit weapons. All in all, T is an excellent assist character for physical attackers, rivaling or surpassing part-time Hestia, especially for PvP. Now let's talk about the characters in Banner A. Here we have Photo and So, Hestia, and Shizue and Riku. Let's start with the healer, Photo and So. Her special is Strobe Light, which debuffs the enemy's physical resistance and magic resistance by 30% for 4 turns. To be honest, the only time you'll probably use this is in a special combo, but you need to make sure the Photo is in the first party slot so she goes first. Otherwise, it's better to use someone else's special if you're wanting a quick burst. Full Throttle is a high power physical attack that scales with her magic stat. This can hit harder than you would expect, especially if you equip an assist character to her with an exceptional amount of magic. Don't forget to craft her camera as well. Aim to get those 2 magic attributes to increase her damage and overall healing output. Pharmacy is a mid-power heal that also boosts the guard rate of your allies by 30% for 2 turns. Reminder that upon a successful guard, your unit will take half the damage. Your agility and endurance stats also modify your chance to guard. All in all, Pharmacy is a great healing skill that heals a lot of HP, especially when using an assist with high magic and having Photo's camera equipped. The added guard rate works really well, potentially reducing the damage you'll take in the future, making Pharmacy a great skill to use in anticipation of a big attack, like in Record Buster when Ataru uses his special. Her last skill, Voice of Poplar Street, increases the effectiveness of heals by 20% for 4 turns. This includes all healing, not just hers. This skill synergizes really well in team comps using a second healer like Fells or Reveria. Fells and Photo can play off each other very well due to Fells' physical resistance buff and Photo's guard rate buff working in tandem, seriously reducing the amount of damage you'll be taking. Photo also works great with Reveria's own physical resistance buff and endurance buff. Photo is a good solo healer in PvE where you can choose your actions, but in PvP she needs to be paired with someone as she will waste her first turn with her Voice of Poplar skill. It will make your healing stronger for the next turn, but other units like Fells or Chigusa give your party an immediate boost upon their first turn, with Fells' physical resistance buff or Chigusa's strength buff. Now, let's talk about the ultimate boss killing pair, Shizue and Riku. Shizue is a physical attacker with very high strength and actually has more agility than Sparkle Princess Eyes. His special is a single target ultra physical attack with a temporary strength boost designed to crush his foe. His first combat skill is Headwind, a straightforward single target high power physical attack with a temporary strength boost. This skill is his bread and butter and what you use after setting up his other 2 skills. Artisans Sword is a mid-level physical attack that removes any physical resistance buffs on the enemy excluding assist skills. If you happen to see your enemy cast a physical resistance buff, use this skill to take that buff off. One thing you should always do is tap and hold onto the enemy to check all their buffs and debuffs just to confirm what's on them and when those buffs and debuffs expire. This skill concentration is the reason Shizue is a monster. It increases his crit rate by 50% for 4 turns. Combine that with a potential 30% crit weapon, and that's 80% crit right there, not counting assist bonuses or the natural crit modifiers you get from agility and dex. After using concentration, Shizue is pretty much guaranteed to crit with his Headwind to deal some insane damage. Shizue is the ultimate single target destroyer, but in the wargame setting, he is simply mediocre if not outright bad. He'll end up using his crit rate skill first, which is not inherently bad, but in a metagame where you want to deal as much damage as possible in the first turn, that 1 turn delay could be deadly. Then, consider the fact that he can only do single target hits, and the RNG system tends to favor squishier targets like healers, when you want to get rid of your enemies like +5 Eyes or Ataru as soon as possible. You have a recipe for disaster when using Shizue. If during Record Buster you hang around difficulty 1 or 2 since your focus is on racking up damage, building around Shizue is a solid strategy. In conclusion, Shizue is great for any PvE content where you need to kill a big target, but for war games, you're better off with someone else. And our final character to talk about is the second assist character, Filmic Goddess Hestia. She has a very high HP and endurance stat with decent strength as well. Her assist skill, Sparkling Smile, increases the physical resistance and guard rate of your party by 8%, 10% if max limit broken. She is an excellent assist when you're focusing on survival. Equip her to an adventurer to build up their endurance while also giving a good bit of bulk to your party with that physical resistance and guard rate buff. In a wargame setting, her buffs are incredible due to the physical damage focused meta, reducing the damage from popular physical characters like Aiz and Ataru. Her guard rate alone may not seem like much, but when paired with Photo's guard buff and the 50% guard buff from the breastplate armor, your party members will start guarding more often, only taking half the damage from attacks. The new Hestia is a unit that will increase your survivability and help you outlast opponents. And that's it from my analysis of all 6 new characters from the Kino's Journey banners. To summarize, Kino is particularly great for war games and helps weaken enemies in PvE. Hermes and Animus is hard to recommend for his RNG dependent stun, but he still does some good damage due to his good chance to crit from his character weapon and self-agility buff. T is a great offensive support, providing a strength and crit rate buff. Photo is a good solo healer for PvE, but for PvP she works best when paired with another healer. Shizue is an insanely strong single target adventurer for boss fights, but is not recommended for war games. The new Hestia is a superb defensive assist, particularly strong against physical damage focused teams. If you value your PvP performance, focus on the B banner with Kino and T. Who's Hermes? And if you value PvE, focus on the A banner with Photo, Shizue, and Hestia. Hopefully, this analysis helps you decide what units to aim for and how and where to use them. If you found this video helpful or informative, please give me a like and subscribe to my channel for more content. To stay updated on what I'm doing, follow me on Twitter, and you can also join my Discord if you have any questions about the game. Continue enjoying your time adventuring in Memoria and the dungeon. This is Lorne Gaming, and I'm signing out.